Hello, hello.
Yes,
Am I audible?
yes.
Yes. तो जब इन सब चीजों के साथ कहीं ना कहीं लगता है कि जो हार्ड पावर का रेलेवेंस किस तरह से खत्म होता जा रहा है और जो हेजमन ऑफ सॉफ्ट पावर का केस किस तरह से एस्टेब्लिशमेंट्स हमारे वर्ल्ड ऑर्डर में होता जा रहा है, तो कहते हैं कि अभी का जो समय है, जो द गेम ऑफ वर्ल्ड पॉलिटिक्स इनकम्पैसेस डिफरेंट प्लेयर्स एट डिफरेंट टेबल एट डिफरेंट पाइल ऑफ चिप्स। हम नहीं कह सकते कि हमारा जो आज फॉरेन पॉलिसी है, जो हमारा जो इंटरनेशनल ऑर्डर है, हमारा जो इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस है, इसमें स्टेटमेंट्स का रेलेवेंस कहीं ना कहीं आज के इस कोविड-19 पेंडेमिक में इरिलेवेंट्स होता दिखाई दे रहा है। और कहीं ना कहीं प्राइवेट सेक्टर्स, पब्लिक प्राइवेट कॉरपोरेट्स, इसका रेलेवेंस बढ़ता जा रहा है। तो इन सब समय में हम कभी भी मिलिट्री के तहत या इकोनॉमिक सैंक्शन लगाकर, जिस तरह से अभी बात हो रही है कि बाइकआउट चाइना, इन सब इन बाइकआउट चाइना कभी भी जो है हमारे यहाँ अब पॉसिबल होता अभी प्रेजेंस में दिखाई नहीं देता है, क्योंकि हम देखते हैं कि हमारा जो है 17% 70% जो हमारा इम्पोर्ट्स है वो चाइनीज गुड्स का होता है। तो इन सब समय में जो हम योगा एज ए कल्चरल सॉफ्ट पावर डिप्लोमेसी इन इंटरनेशनल ऑर्डर की बात करते हैं, वो बहुत ही सार्थक है। और हम इस योगा एज ए कल्चरल डिप्लोमेसी एज ए सॉफ्ट पावर इसका यूज करके हम वर्ल्ड के साथ या दूसरे कंट्री के साथ जो है अपना रिलेशंस का टाई अप जो है वो अच्छे तरीके से कर सकते हैं। हम देखते हैं कि हम पास्ट में जाके देखते हैं कि किस तरह से आइडियोलॉजिकल डिफरेंस होने के बाद भी हमारे यहाँ जो जो जापानीज हैं, किस तरह से जो है अमेरिका जो है अपना जो एज ए सुपर पावर, किस तरह से जो है अपना एजुकेशनल, साइंटिफिक, कल्चरल हेजेमन पूरा वर्ल्ड पे एस्टेब्लिश किया गया है, उसके द्वारा किया गया है। हम देखते हैं कि जापानीज का जो यंगस्टर है वो कैसे जो स्पोर्ट्स जैकेट पहनता है और उस पे अमेरिकन कॉलेज लिखा हुआ दिखाई देता है। और सोवियत का जो टीनेजर था वो अपना एज अमेरिकन ब्लू जींस का जो यूज करता है अपने पहनावे में, वो हमको दिखाता है कि वहाँ की जो रहन सहन है, वहाँ की जो खान पान है, वहाँ की जो कल्चरल एथनिसिटी है, वो किस तरह से हमारे यहाँ जो है अपना कल्चरल हेजेमनी एस्टेब्लिश किया हुआ है। हम यहाँ भी देखते हैं कि जब सोवियत यूनियन में जब 1989 में जब इंसिडेंट्स हुआ था, उसमें कैसे लोग स्टेच्यू ऑफ लिबर्टी की बात करते हैं और उसका सिंबल लगा के घूमते हैं। तो इन सब चीजों पे जब हम बात करते हैं तो हमको पता चलता है कि सॉफ्ट पावर का रेलेवेंस जो है कितना ज्यादा बढ़ता हुआ दिखाई दे रहा है। उसके बाद सॉफ्ट पावर में भी जब हम बात करते हैं इंस्टीट्यूशंस का, कम्युनिकेशंस का, नेशनल कोहेजन्स का, यूनिवर्सलिस्टिक कल्चर्स का, among these three and four things, universalistic cultures is more important, because when we talk about Samuel Huntington's classes of civilizations, and in classes of civilizations, Samuel Huntington's talk about the cultural hegemony of America in the West, and the antagonisms of West cultures by Islamic countries. We saw that here the irrelevance of the military power and the economic power and the hegemon of cultural powers we saw here in the foreign policy of Islamic country and the America. And when we talk about the soft power means to success in world politics, we see the capital is not so important, but informations and technology is important in uh, uh, in international order and international relations. Professor Sanjay Srivastava sir talk about smart power and the mixtures of soft power and hard powers. We cannot say that the relevance of the hard power is totally totally throughout in international relations, but uh, relevance of soft power is more important in international orders. Uh, 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 these words I concludes my topics lectures. Thank you.
Thank you, Kunal. Now I would like to uh, welcome our last speaker of this session, Vasudha Trivedi. Vasudha, over to you.
Thank you, Abhi sir, and my greetings to Sanjay sir and all the seniors present over here. And I thank Pratispardha Council for giving me this opportunity. Before I begin my presentation, I would like to present a shlok of Sanskrit that is bestowing reference to Maharshi Patanjali, who gave yoga to us. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yo apakaro tam pravaram muninam Patanjalim pranjali ranatosme. I bow down with folded hands to the excellence of Maharshi Patanjali, who removed the impurities of mind, speech, and body by propounding Yoga Shastra, Vyakaran Shastra, and Ayurveda Shastra, respectively. Maharshi Patanjali, about 2000 years back, sowed the seeds of yoga in this pious land of India through compilation of Yoga Sutras. This ancient development, that is philosophical yet a scientifically cogent culture, enables human body to attain mental, spiritual, and above all physical peace. There are certain Yoga Sutra which I would like to mention before you, like Yogaha Chitta Vritti Nirodha. What does this mean? It means that through yoga, one can control the impurities that generate in human mind, or those unnecessary, exorbitant thoughts that makes human beings to comply to such actions which may cause harm. But yoga enables human body, human mind specifically, to be free of all these impurities, and it rejuvenates energy within us. Secondly, as Lord Krishna has also gave the sermon in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, that yogaha karmasu kaushalam. It means that through yoga, one can attain efficiency in their actions and can lead a well-disciplined as well-organized life. So, as soft power is more of all about disseminating our cultural values and beliefs. These are certain basic values which India is trying to propagate worldwide and can be heard very, very clearly in each oration of our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi. And inexorably, these principles are well perceived and recognized by generations so far. India's attempt to propagate yoga at such a global high table of its influence is like reinforcement of our rich knowledge and magnificent culture developed so far. And significantly, it prevails as efficient and evergreen solutions to the contemporary global problems that we face. In the decades of globalization, we have not only reached to a social, economical, or technological connectivity, but along with this technological enhancement, we have led the world to create a cosmopolitan community where shared culture has emerged as a major cohesive force in bringing people together, in bringing people united, despite of whatever differences they have. And rightly argued by Joseph Nice, as many of our panelists have mentioned him, I would also like to quote one of his lines that in the long run, it's not the size of the army that matters as much as the country's ability to influence world's heart and mind. Present government has successfully flipped its coin of foreign policy. It has shifted from an inward-orient policy to a policy which has undeniable global impact, and that shapes the image of the country worldwide. India has well thought of how to capitalize on its unique customs and traditional hallmarks and create a strong national brand which shapes the country's future worldwide and also makes the country easier to promote its diplomatic goals and realizations to the world. Of course, yoga has exemplified the soft power and has also emerged as a major diplomatic tool. And I would like to present you in the form of certain points over here. The first point that has helped in enhancing the soft power is that it has emerged as a perennial universal culture. Till now, yoga was seen as an Indian culture, a Hindu culture within the boundaries of our country. But now, in the last span of 6 years in the practice of international yoga, it has emerged as a universal culture, conforming to the soft power theory that it is legitimized in the eyes of people. People have admitted to this social system that meets their spiritual and moral needs as well. Secondly, undoubtedly, it has attracted the youth worldwide, right? The youth is adopting this lifestyle that is conducive to lead a healthy and a mindful life. Perhaps everybody residing in any corner of the world wants to lead a good life. They want health, they want peace, they want prosperity in their life, and yoga has that power to provide them. And it's a solution to tackle certain problems, certain major diseases like depression, anxiety, frustration, obesity, and other many chronic diseases. As one of our panelists, Kriti Didi, mentioned it, that there are certain other diseases because of which a lot of deaths are occurring and a lot of fatalities are occurring. So how can these problems be solved at the initial stage? So yoga is the best solution for this, I believe. And these chronic diseases are also considered with great importance in World Health Organization. It meets the third goal of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, that is providing global health and well-being. This well-being means itself that each and every individual is leading a prosperous, a healthy, a mindful life where economic benefits is not everything, but health is a major tool because health is the ultimate wealth. Moreover, as mentioned by some of our panelists, of course, it has reached out to the Indian diaspora. Today, about 15 million Indians reside outside our country. And it is important that under the gigantic influence of Western policy, Western hegemony, in fact, this population must stay connected to their ancestral roots, right? And a culture this way can never disappear, because when an Indian is seen beyond the borders in any foreign country, they establish an impact in the mind of foreigners that yes, he is an Indian, he belongs to this particular culture, and hence again their presence exemplifies India's cultural identity automatically. And acquaintance of upcoming generations, yoga being such an international culture, and the acquaintance of the upcoming generations with our heritage will ensure that its lineage stays evergreen. Now we see that America's soft power has more or more turned into its hegemony, and hegemony is like manufacturing consent of the people, and this consent may or may not be a legitimized consent. So this and propagating of our culture in such a manner has emerged as a bandwagon strategy to tackle the Western hegemony. The growing ability of superpower to attract people and persuade people to accept this Western way of living is somewhere to some extent posing a threat upon the heterogeneity of other cultures. And how can this be tackled? I think through bandwagoning, that is on a global stage, propagating our cultures and such cultures which are legitimized, healthy, and good for the survival of human beings. This problem can be tackled well. Another global threat that we face is environmental degradation. and to bring into action environmental protection, yoga is a great solution also propagated by our government. So, and it is again the 17th Sustainable Goal Development of United Nations. So yoga, along with the principles of Ayurveda, has moderated humans' approach towards the environment. It has given humans an opportunity to introspect into their activities, into their greeds, into their unhealthy pursuits, which is ultimately harming the environment. The greed for expansioning their economic benefits, in this greed, they're somewhere ignoring how pertinent the protection of environment is, because it's the environment from which we get the life, not from the profit of benefits. Moving ahead, economically, it is also beneficial, not to India, but abroad as well, as it has attracted, firstly for India, it has attracted tourism at a massive rate. And yoga training has become a new profession and a source of employment for others as well. This does not mean that we are economically or we are capitalizing our culture, but somewhere we have provided everyone an opportunity to attain certain livelihood benefits as well. Yoga, in terms of cultural diplomacy, has been incremental to shape the image of the country. After the British rule, our country was left devastated, emptied, and particularly a poor country. And this image in the past 70-75 years have revamped into an alternative emerging global power, being the 5th largest economy or the 4th largest military, and excelling in its scientific temperaments of space research, innovations, and other capabilities. But the question arises, how these determinants actually come out on the global stage. They, more than anything, create a sense of competition among nations, among the superpowers. And the rival nations may become skeptical of the international pursuits, right? And this somewhere expands the rift among the nations. But culture, the sharing of culture has the capacity to assimilate people in this thing. We connect instead of creating rift through this culture. So yoga and adopting yoga as its cultural diplomacy by this present government is worth appreciating, because we are actually connecting people, as the term yoga itself means creating union or getting united. And this union is not limited to our bodies, but limited to our society, limited to our state, expands to our society, expands to our states, and also expands to worldwide. We are creating a global village this way, where we think for benefit of each other, love for each other, and prosperity for each other. And of course, for India, pioneering Yoga Day on 21st June and attaining its declaration by United Nations was a great step ahead 6 years ago. And today its importance seemed to be exemplified owing to such a huge problem of coronavirus that we face. Today, its importance has been exemplified that this coronavirus has trapped us within its unpredictable arms of danger. And so far we can't find any solution to it. Moreover, this virus far overweighs the economic strength, military, or nuclear power of the nations. And apparently yoga, as I can see, is a great solution to this precarious disease. Because this pandemic, a kind of this pandemic also had occurred in 2003 when the SARS respiratory syndrome had occurred. At that time also, scientists had indicated the world that after a few years, you may face another pandemic and then epidemic. But the neoliberal approach of these nations somewhere did not focus upon this thing. And today we are stuck over here. But this situation can be healed now also, as we must look for an optimistic future. And yoga is a great and accessible less costly, and can be pursued by each individual at their personal level. They need not approach or depend on anyone else or invest massively in this thing. So yoga somewhere undoubtedly and without any validation is a great solution to the upcoming problems also that we may face worldwide. And health is not only limited to ensuring good hospitals or providing good vaccines or medications, but we need to build strong bodies with great immunity. And some of the panelists have also mentioned it, that how yogic practices, these respiratory practices, helps in building a strong body. At a glance, the panorama of prevailing situations displays that we are surrounded with a number of global universal threats. Today, coronavirus has become an urgent threat, but there are other threats also with which we are surrounded. These include terrorism, violation of human rights, right? Environmental degradation is a huge problem. The environmental degradation, I would like to mention a data over here that within 100 years, the average global temperature has risen to 0.85 degrees Celsius, 0.85 degrees Celsius. And it's a great change that is noticed and indicated by the scientists, right? So this problem is a grave problem, and obviously we need global solutions to global problems. And where nations, obviously we are living in nations that have differences, but togetherness and union is very important at present time. Yoga, which itself means union, is surely bringing people together, and we are capable of dealing with these situations that are jeopardizing the human survival. Because now what is pertinent is protection of individual life, protection of the environment in which we dwell, and the sacredness of human dignity, right? Concluding my presentation, I just want to say that our history worldwide has been that India was prone of invasions from Alexander to the Islamic rule, and then exploited entirely by the British rule, right? In this transition period of about a long period this has been, but in this transition period, our original tradition, our rich heritage somewhere has faded away, and somewhere has been diluted, somewhere has been mixed up. And to establish India's image as a strong cultural country with very strong traditional roots, we need to reveal before the world what the original India is. It's not just about the technological enhancement or the nuclear acquisitions or the space issues that we are excelling in, but from the past, from the very past itself, we have been ahead in all these technological advancements. Being it Shushruta, being it Charak, being it Patanjali, they all have given indigenous technologies to deal with problems that can be seen in contemporary world as well. So this is not just healing of the external or the materialistic problems, but internally it is shaping human into one idealist man that can ensure well-being of the entire society, entire world. And yoga as a hallmark of its cultural identity shall not be taken as a way of infusing hegemony, right? But in an altruistic way, we are conforming to our traditional values. Many of our panelists have mentioned this, but I would like to elaborate this entire shloka that Ayam Nijah Paroveti Gadana Laghu Chetasam Udara Charitanam tu Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This entire shlok in Hitopadesh is the actual diplomacy goal of India. And world needs to know this now, that India, that it's the petty minds, if I define the meaning, that it's the petty minds who discriminate between theirs and others or limit their thinking to such discrimination. But when broad-minded people come up, when great souls come up, they consider the entire world as their family, and well-being of the entire family is objective of every human. And where the universe is their family, undoubtedly India is the topmost in its altruistic values. Moreover, since the day I have understood the subject of political science, being it is a Western thought or an Indian thought, everybody has says that the ultimate goal of state is to ensure a good life where justice, tranquility, morality, and holistic well-being prevails. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vasudha. And with this, we come to an end of this panel discussion. Moving forward, I am opening this session for question and answers. If anyone has question, queries, or contradictions, they can use the raise hand feature and ask their questions to the panelists. Or anyone among the panelists wants to contradict or ask a question to another panelist, they can also go ahead. Okay, so I think no one has got any questions to ask. And moving forward to the closing ceremony, I would like to invite the convener, Animesh Mishra, to give his closing remarks. Animesh?
आ रही है आवाज भैया?
हाँ, आ रही है.
Thank you, Abhay Pratap Bhaiya, for giving me this opportunity to thank and to summarize what has already we all in our panels have discussed so far. First of all, I want to thank my whole team first for taking this initiative and to bring out these young intellectual minds from our university at a stage which is, I think, in an academic atmosphere is most needed. Then I will move to Professor Sanjay Srivastava sir. His generosity and his greatness is that he is still with us. And that's a very big thing for we students, that he has continued from the very beginning of this session till the end. As we all know, sir is the professor at the Department of Political Science. Beside that, what makes him different is always his openness for the student. And sir was one prominent academic figure, particularly when it comes to India, is that sir is also associated with the US Center for the Public Diplomacy. And it's a center which is doing a great research in academia, particularly with respect to public diplomacy. And sir is also a regular writer at the blog of United States Center for Public Diplomacy. And we also go through the articles which is submitted by sir there. They are very thought-provoking articles. Sir talked about the Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay's integral humanism in context of this whole yoga and soft power. It's a kind of moving forward. We must learn and we must go through what integral humanism by Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay is all about, and how it can be a kind of a new model for a new world which must be defined by a kind of tranquility, peace, prosperity, and happiness. Sir talked about how when it comes to West and when it comes to America in particular, how these American corporate companies, they are growing their business by promoting this yoga without considering the philosophical connotations which yoga holds. So we need to, and particularly an organization we must go through is Hindu American Foundation, HAF, and Ms. Suhag Sukla and other, there is working tremendously to bring out a kind of that philosophical notion and that connectivity with the Indian roots there in the United States. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you will be a very small word to for what you have always been doing for we students and for your valuable time here with the panel discussion. Thank you so much, sir. Then I will move to the two panelists from our side, and that is Abhay Bhaiya is writing only 9 minutes is left. Yes, I will conclude. I will not go in details too much. So two of the panelists, Arvind Bhaiya and Rohan Bhaiya, these two people from our university is someone who is academically very sound, whose academic credential is going at a very rocket speed. And we must follow these two seniors, particularly when it comes to academic, writings, academic learning. And they are very much available for all of us every time. Then I would like to thank Kirti Tripathi Didi for giving insight on the aspect of diplomacy which yoga holds, and how we need to combine these two soft and hard power into one, that is smart power, which Joseph Nye was reiterating time and again. Then I would like to say my thanks to Kunal Sandilia, who happens to be my batchmate in the university. So thank you, Kunal, for your insight and your valuable suggestion for using soft power when it comes to India's relation with Nepal and other neighbors. Vasudha Dwivedi should be thanked for such, insightful, provocative, and I think mind-blowing presentations he had put. You must had, prepared well in advance very much. And since I want to, go through one word, one sentence he was calling, and that was that the world is facing, like when we see this pandemic, COVID and all problems, there's a global problem. And these global problem, as Professor Harari from the Hebrew University is calling, that needs global solutions. And this global solution can come only when there is some kind of global consensus. And that consensus can only be built when there will be the use of soft, not the hard power. And that soft power is the key, not only for India to march upon the world, to increase its power and clout in the global order, but it is the soft power in which the whole, it's a blessing for the whole human world. So the whole human world should, whole countries across world should use this soft power. Then I would like to express my thanks to my co-convener Anjali Agrawal. She had, tried his best to bring out the posters and bring out this conference into actual practice. So I would like to thank Anjali, and needless to mention, I would like to thank our Dean, Professor Kaushal Kishore Mishra sir, student advisor of the faculty, Avinav Sharma sir, and in fact the club coordinator, Dr. Sandeep Kumar sir, for their generous support to bring out this program. One important notice I would convey here is that the session will be aired very soon on the YouTube platform, and the clips of the individual speakers will also be delivered to the respective speakers very soon. Then I would also request our Professor Sanjay Srivastava sir. Is a matter of a great pleasure for us, sir, to have you here. That you must start, sir, a forum like this where we students from university can discuss academia and academic debate. So this is from all of us, that collectively we are requesting you to start such kind of forum where there should be an opportunity for the students to come up with the ideas and thought-provoking notices on this international subject. I would like to thank everyone, and I left Abhay Bhaiya. He needs to be thanked for moderating sessions in such a beautiful manner that everyone got a plenty of time, and we are not short of time, we are on time, and it is because of the good coordination he has with the whole team, and because of the session. Thank you, Abhay Bhaiya. Thank you, Professor Sanjay Srivastava sir, and all the panelists. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Animesh. And now with this, we come to an end of this productive, very productive panel discussion on the topic of yoga as soft power, India's culture diplomacy. Thank you, Sanjay Srivastava sir, Arvind Bhaiya, Rohan Bhaiya, and each and every panelist and all the participants. And I hope you all will stay safe inside your house, and hope everyone meets soon. So thank you, everyone. And now I'm ending this panel discussion. Good day. Thank you.